Hey y'all, on this new episode of WoW, we have, of course, a lot of changes and more WoW debuts. This is Steph and Cat Talk WoW.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's
Hey y'all, welcome. Happy Thursday night to a new episode of Steph and Cat Talk WoW, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, HWP Extra, and co-creator of this fabulous show that you see before you, contributing writer for Daily DDT and color commentator. But of course, I'm not alone. I am with my tag team partner who's making a fabulous return with a face card that does not quit. She is the creator of In Cat We Trust and co creator of this show, as well as an author and writer herself for Daily DDT and a backstage correspondent to various wrestling promotions in the New York, New Jersey area, and a super mom. She is Katrina. How are you, Kat?
Hey, that's a very nice intro. Very nice. I'm okay. Very tired. But I'm okay. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just feel like there is so much going on when it comes to WoW that I feel like even when I did the show by myself, it was still cool and everything, but I was just like, man, I just wish Katrina was here so we could discuss all of these different changes that have taken place over these past few weeks. And it's just been a lot. So, of course, if you've been hanging in there with us, please thank you so much for doing so. And of course, if you're watching live now, thank you. And if you're not, and you're going to watch us later, you can watch us on our YouTube channel as we talk about the goings ons of WoW superheroes, women of wrestling. So, this episode was titled "And Even Fabber Four," and of course, it aired this past weekend, November 16th through the 17th. And there have just been lots of changes that have taken place, and all these changes just so happen to happen when me and Katrina are not together. But now we're together again. So if you do have anything you want to say in the chat or in the comments, please light up the comments and let us know what your opinions are because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of them. But yeah, this episode as a whole was really interesting and just very action packed and just very spicy in the sense because you had a lot of people, staking their claim to different opportunities and everything, and people just standing on their decisions. And it was just really nuts, but also a really solid episode. So Katrina, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I know we weren't like I wasn't here the last episode to start talking about it, but all things definitely did happen. Um, some things I felt like I was able to tell, just because you could just tell things sometimes, and I felt like I was able to tell with some regards of it, and it was more so like, but really, this what we doing is kind of like that kind of thing, like I don't know how I feel about this. Like, is this why is this the route XYZ took? And so, I guess this episode kind of leads into all of what happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks on the episodes with changes, but also a different, I want to say, maybe mindset, an attitude, kind of being aligned with the Fab Four. Um, and so that was like, oh, all right, that's what we're doing. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, it was really good. So, while we get into this episode, let's just start at the beginning. The show started with the newest version of the Fab Four, and that is, of course, involving the Wild Tag Team Champions, Miami's Sweet Heat, Penelope Pink, and the fabulous Lana Star. But as they came out, they decided to introduce their newest member, who is now, of course, Holly Swag, who has been announced as living in the Fab Four mansion full time. And then Nigel, on commentary, made a reference to her gimmick outside of WoW, calling her, saying that he doesn't know if her new look is Hollywood or Hollyhood, which I thought was just like, oh my goodness. Um, it made me giggle when I heard it. I was just like, oh man. But in seeing how Holly Swag looks, you saw a lot of the more of the pink in her hair. You saw like this giant bucket hat, like the one Katrina has on, except it was very pink and furry. And she had on a pink and white fur coat as well. It was really cute. And she has new gear and everything. And she went for a high five to all of the members of the Fab Four except for Penelope. It seems like Penelope, it's a recurring theme in this episode that Penelope is the least thrilled to have her as part of the Fab Four. But in the midst of this promo, Holly says that she's getting the respect that she deserves and the money and cars that she deserves. And she mentions that she is so glad that they got rid of that hag in reference to her mother, Big Rig Betty. And this feeds into the first match. But Katrina, since you weren't here when the turn first happened, I gotta ask you, how do you feel about seeing Holly Swag with her new swag, with the Fab Four, and all of the ways in which she's been disparaging her mom?
Yeah, I feel like that was like unnecessary. Like, so I am aware of like her outside of WoW gimmick with the Hollywood. So like, I know there's like an attitude she has under that gimmick. But in this regard, you had, in this company, you had them being like a mother daughter team working together. And so while I understand, obviously, it implied that they were supposed to be more on the poorer side, and that's why they were struggling with finances like all the time. And yes, I can understand how if you have more money, things are easier. Like everybody, I feel like everybody can understand that. But you can have those things without being rude to your mom. I guess it's like if you wanna, you can have those things, but you didn't have to like to call your mom like a hag. It's like, well, that's a lot. Like, like it's one thing if you're like, okay, we don't align anymore as far as what I want for my like. That's one thing, but to call her a hag, I'm like, ma'am, like that's your mom now. Like, and your mom in regards that, if nobody else have you, she will. Like that, at least, I mean, I just how I am with mine. And so, I always tell my kids, like, no matter what, until the day I'm not here, I have you. And so, yeah, I'm like, I didn't like that too much. I didn't like that too much. But, yeah, it is an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, it is an interesting turn of events, but it makes me upset because even though, I'm not a mother, it's just that, there have been so many women in my life, including my own mom, who have been, amazing to me, who I know I would never disrespect in that way. Um, like your mom, the thing that bothers me, and I've said this before on a past episode, was like, it's just Big Rig Betty was trying her best to help her in that situation in terms of all of that money because she actually said they would double it. And they were trying to work hard to get out of that situation. And it seemed like Holly was just a little bit ungrateful when she got a taste of the life. And I understand that you might want nice things, but I feel like nice things are only greater if you work for them and attain them yourself and they're not just handed to you by somebody who just feels like they can just give it to you for the sake of doing so. And I think Holly has really let this fabulous lifestyle sort of just go to her head. And the idea that you would diss your mom as a part of it is just really really disheartening, I will say. And it's also just disappointing in the sense that we saw them come together as a mother daughter group, as the mother truckers, and it was the Fab Four that brought them in to begin with, like I mentioned in the last episode. So the fact that this is how it ends with her joining them, it's just kind of like, god dang, this really sucks. But as the episode goes on, you kind of see that she's falling further into the attitudes that they have and sort of benefiting from everything, which leads into the first match of this episode, which was her, Holly Swag, versus Ashley Blaze with Penelope Pink on commentary. Um, Ashley Blaze, of course, we've talked about multiple times. We've seen, wrestle in other places as Cameron Burnett. And she is somebody who is definitely finding her way as a WoW superhero with more of her attitude. And they even showed her in this episode playing volleyball because she had been a volleyball player for a very long from a very young age. And this match, I felt that her and Holly Swag were evenly matched in the sense that they both had a little bit of the same move set and a little bit of the same sort of caginess in which they would try to get into each other's heads. But of course, with Ashley being crafty, you had Holly responding by utilizing the Fab Four to her advantage and helping them cheat because you had the Carlson twins who were attacking Ashley outside of the ring and dragging her out and hitting her to get the upper hand for Holly Swag. And it was a very hard hitting match, and the crowd was actually on Ashley Blaze's side, which we love to see. Um, there was one point where Holly Swag even hit a shining wizard, and then Penelope on commentary proceeded to take credit for Holly's style and inspiration for her dyeing her hair pink because she did it. Everybody else has to do it, right? Um, but Ashley Blaze proceeded to kick Holly Swag in between the ropes, just like a Dakota Kai would with her big kick. But then Lindsay broke up the count, and then finally Ashley kicked Lori off of the apron after Lindsay wound up clotheslining her. But then after Ashley and Lana Star had a few words, Holly Swag used a sock of rocks to knock out Ashley Blaze and cover her for the 1, 2, 3. And Holly Swag won her first singles match as a member of the Fab Four, not fair and square, but she won it. And after she won, she threw Ashley Blaze out of the ring. Um, and Lana and Holly cut a promo afterward with Lana saying, "I'm just so proud, like a mother. You're going to be the greatest addition to the family." Holly then got the microphone and said, "Now I'm exactly where I need to be, and I just put Blaze out. I think it's time all y'all learn. I'm Holly Swag and I don't play. I think it's about time we got rid of that old fart." Here again, talking about her mom. "I'm right where I need to be." And Penelope Pink was in the background, just slowly clapping because, as you can tell, she really is not here for it because it seems like Lana is on the verge of sort of propping up Holly Swag the way that she used to prop Penelope Pink up in the beginning. So I don't think it's really looking good for them at this point. But Katrina, how did you feel about the match between Ashley and Holly and everything that took place afterward?
So I can kind of understand. Like, I know you don't like Penelope Pink, but when you think of that, yeah, the Carlson sisters had, that they had the tag titles, but Penelope, as we said, when she did win the title, it's a clean win. She did it, and as soon as she did it, if I'm not mistaken, she joined them right after. So she got the title cleanly, and then joined and added her, rather felt it was better to join forces with Lana and with the twins. And so to kind of go from that, and I want to say to an extent being maybe like the golden child, if that's the word I want to use, of the group, just because of this was like, the build of the Fab Four, where you're kind of adding pieces, and you had Penelope, who, and considering did it the right way at that time, and so to kind of have that, and then to bring in Holly, who, if it's that easy, and I always say this, like, I don't know why people never, if it's that easy to turn on your own mom, she can very well turn on y'all. I'm not sure why Lana not peeping that, or why she doesn't notice that. But if she's already like, if she was that was who's her blood, and she's just like, whatever. It's this, like, who say she won't turn on anybody in that group? And while it seems as if at least the Fab Four, while they might have had differences, you didn't really see them necessarily bicker with each other. in that regard. You can't say this might not be that way with Holly only because of how she joined them. It wasn't like when the other girls joined, it was some weird thing and then they joined. It was like they won something and then joined, and I think that's something I think maybe Penelope sees. Like she's what she is, but I'm assuming if she's so like in regards to like observing things and watching people and watching things that she had to have seen, this might be a problem. And so I can kind of understand that regard. With Holly, however, cause the Fab Four are known to start or to involve themselves in matches, and I feel like actually out of the group, probably Penelope did the least amount of like interfering. Like she's interfered, but I felt like Lana really got herself involved often, and the Carlsons got themselves involved often, and even when Vicky was there, she also got herself involved more often. So Holly kind of going right to the like, oh, you guys are kind of coming in, and you know you're already having them kind of do all of this for you. I have to question if this is your way of breaking away from your mom. If they're helping you, are you really breaking away as a solo person? If you have somebody in your very first match with them, you're sitting here doing like engaging in this activity and like not trying to prove that you didn't necessarily need your mom per se. And so, I wasn't surprised at them interfering. I wasn't surprised that how it went down, but I just feel like if Penelope feels away, there's probably a reason as far as why she's just like, I'm watching, like, because I can see why this may be. She may not be such a fit. If she can throw her mom under the bus, she will probably throw any one of them.
That's right. That is a very good observation that you made in the sense that all of those girls, won the titles and then sort of joined the Fab Four in a sense. Even though you could argue that Lana was sort of like crafting it and giving them, benefits. Once they did win the titles, it was more solidified with them as a group. Even with Vicky as the enforcer, everything was more solidified in that way. Whereas with Holly joining just to prove a point to her mom, she could by all means throw any one of them under the bus because she just has a very shaky energy to her. Holly has an energy to her that gives off the impression that, if things aren't going my way, I'm just going to throw away the person, who is easy to blame. And by all accounts, if stuff doesn't, go her way, or if hard times hit the Fab Four, which it doesn't seem to, because of course they're just so fabulous and rich, she would run off to the next person that would give her the next life. And maybe Penelope does see right through that. Maybe she sees right through that. Or maybe Penelope is just jealous that Lana is giving someone else her attention and just talking about, her shiny new toy as if she hasn't been there, you know, and as if she hasn't been, the person who had the full attention outside of the twins. So it's just kind of interesting, how it's going to play out. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But clearly, you can tell that there's going to be some tension brewing. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Now, after that match, we had a backstage promo from Siren the Voodoo Doll, who made a poem. Made it seem like she was casting her spell and everything. She said, just because Halloween is over doesn't mean that I'm going to stop giving this creepy stuff. So she said, the memories of a long lost soul so easily led astray to another road. Now I know the grass is greener where the water is clearer, but Aussie, I remember you, my dear. I see not only did we break your sticks, but we also broke your soul. I know you have a friend and she covers her face like she has something to hide. Listen now, your team will crumble and die. Insert evil laughter. So this fed into the tag team match that she will be having a little bit later on the episode. But after that, with her throwing shade at Princess Aussie and how she did cast a spell over her in earlier seasons before, and take away the thing that was very important to her. She feels like she could just play those mind games with her again. But Princess Aussie is a new woman. She's not going to do that. So, moving into match number two, we have a WoW debut. We have Valentina Diamante from Mexico City going up against Coach Campanelli, one of the Wild Trios tag team champions of top tier, Coach Campanelli. This match was pretty fire. And of course, Gloria Glitter and Crush came out there with Coach Campanelli, which basically meant that you had to keep your head on a swivel. But Valentina came out and she was serving like really cool high fashion with her Mexican flag cape. It was really, really cute. And something that I loved from watching Valentina go up against Coach was the fact that she had all of these innovative pins in which she was covering Coach Campanelli with. But Coach, of course, is not above playing dirty to get the victory that she needed. Crush was pulling at Diamante off the apron, and Coach was knocking Valentina down by running on her back. Kind of shades of Natalia, if you've seen that before, watched any of her classic matches. Coach even locked in a sharpshooter like Natalia again. But Valentina, was hitting running swipes to get the upper hand. But Coach Campanelli wound up hitting her buzzer beater for the win. So sadly, we are here looking at the debut of a new woman who had a really good showing, but yet didn't win because in most cases, a lot of girls don't win their WoW debuts, with the exception of Xena Phoenix. But after she lost her match, Top Tier would go on to attack her and jump her. But then the Dojo Defenders came out and fought for her, and Top Tier would just run away and just be like, yeah, whatever, let's just leave them alone. But Kara Kai had some passionate words to say to Top Tier. She said that they were tired of the constant disrespect from them and that they fight with honor and fight for respect. And then Tara Strike suggested that if Top Tier wants to prove that they are the greatest team in all of professional wrestling, you need to battle us and Valentina Diamante for the Wild Trios tag team titles. To which Coach agreed and said that we'll see you in the ring and we'll see you when your shoulders hit the mat 1, 2, 3. So, yeah, pretty high powered stuff. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the match and everything that took place afterward with Top Tier and with the Dojo Defenders defending Valentina?
I I I enjoyed the match. It was a good debut. I definitely noticed there's very there. I feel like when somebody debuts, they don't necessarily win, and I don't know if that's like on purpose or not. I'm not sure, but I did like the attitude from her, and not like a bad, just like the confidence she had going in there. I did like Figure as well. I thought I didn't expect her to win, taking the debut part aside because Top Tier were all there, and Top Tier is also another group of people who cannot seem to have matches where there has to be some level of interference for somebody, and so both of them were there, and so it's like even as coach is being as well, even as Valentina, she like even with those things, I expected Top Tier to interfere anything, and so that was unfortunate. And I just felt like it was kind of like an overkill. Where like, okay, you won the match, why do you need to beat her up as well? You don't need to do all that. It's so unnecessary. And so I thought it was a good debut, and I'm here for this trios. They did say the two times I've interviewed at least two of the three of the ladies of Top Tier that they were ready to anybody anytime, and so they had the best tag team, they had the best group in professional wrestling. Well, here's time to prove that you're the best group in professional wrestling, going against somebody who's new to us as far as WoW, but also two ladies who have been doing anything since they have debuted, and so I'm excited for that match. I do hope maybe these girls can put Top Tier in a place a bit, just because they've been doing a whole lot. And it's like, I don't like it's like just because I know how they were separately, like how they were before they kind of joined up, and it's just like, like that's just be better. So I'm looking forward to the match up that they'll have, and hopefully the girls will win. But if not, at least you kind of, if you have to go down, we'll go down swinging, as the saying goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the match as well. I am definitely sure it's going to be some high powered stuff going on in that match. You got the Dojo Defenders and all of their kicks. You have um all of the fight coming from Valentina Diamante, even early in her wild career, going up against top tier, which has been, a pretty solid team so far. Hey! Um which pretty much has been a solid team so far. Like, I can't wait to see, that match take place. And I would love it if they won. Like, that would be really sick if they did win. But if not, like you said, at least they would go down swinging, and at least they would give it a good try. Because, of course, Coach did kind of get on their case a little bit from their tag team match that they had that was non-title, that they didn't perform that well in against the Dojo Defenders. So maybe they'll have to go back to the drawing board a little bit and fine tune some things if they want to keep those trios titles. But either way, it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be cool. So, after that, we had another backstage interaction between Chainsaw and Pep Riley. So, Angelica Dante, who is, of course, the little sister of Chainsaw, was trying to like get her head in the game, even though she was yelling at her and telling her that she hasn't really been focused and that she needs to pay attention to what's going on in these matches and stuff. But Pep Riley came and gave Chainsaw a daisy and told her, "Good luck in your match tonight." And Chainsaw took the flower, but then Angelica did not like that, and she snatched the flower away from her and pushed it onto the floor. And Chainsaw didn't like that, so she picked up the flower herself and took it and hid it behind her back as they were getting ready to make their entrance. And this sort of feeds into the interaction that Chainsaw and Pep Riley had when um first Chainsaw kind of stared at Pep, and then when Pep was feeling discouraged, she threw down her spirit bow, and then Chainsaw picked it back up and gave it to her. So we just kind of have a little nice friendship budding between the two, but Angelica doesn't like it. So this feeds into the well, before I go into the third match, Katrina, how do you feel about this budding friendship between Chainsaw and Pep Riley?
Well, I'm all for good solid friendship, with your girlies if that's what we're doing. I don't know if this means she's going to turn into a leaf, and would this be now an issue also because while her sister doesn't like it, we still also have Siren the Voodoo doll who feels a way. They felt the way when Holodeck kind of left. She just one day she seemed like she was in the middle, and all of a sudden she was doing stuff with Chantilly Cella, and so I'm sure they felt the way about her just kind of skedaddling on them, and so if this is now leading to Chainsaw being nicer and a possibly like maybe I'll leave if it's like you guys are doing something that might not no longer align with what I'm doing. I am kind of interested to see if it plays out that way. Like, how would they deal with losing two people in their group because they were pretty dominant as well, Holodead and Chainsaw, And so, as far as her sister, like I understand as a you get your protective or you want your sibling to be away, I guess. But you also should want your sibling to, if they're gonna get better and thrive, let them do that. And so I feel like Angelica, you can't be mad. Like if she's doing the right thing and she's going down a different path, you can't be upset about that. But I'm interested to see how it goes. I mean, if this is a good friendship and it's not nothing like no nonsense attached to it, then yeah, that's a good thing. Especially with everything that happened with Pep Riley as well, when you were, with the new team spirit, like, she kind of again kind of got pushed to the sideway after everything that kind of played out with that. So if this means she might have a new buddy, uh, I'm down as long as there's no nonsense. I'm down for it.
Yeah, I'm down for the friendship too if there is no nonsense, but it's just like you said, it's like Angelica Dante and Siren really don't do well with outsiders who might not line up with their dark feel. So I just maybe they feel a little bit of desperation in trying to hold on to Chainsaw because of how Holodead left them and stuff, but and also with their, I guess, past aggression at Princess Aussie, which, feeds into the next match that we're about to talk about. So I'm actually here for it. maybe Pep will join them and actually become a little bit of a zombie. I don't know. But it would be funny. But either way, we move into match number three, which was a tag team match between Siren the Voodoo Doll and Chainsaw, with Angelica Dante versus Princess Aussie and Tormenta. And it's so interesting that we're getting to this match and Princess Aussie is watching us. So hey again. Um hey again, we love you so much. This match was really fantastic. Chainsaw actually wound up hiding the daisy underneath the apron curtain. But Princess Aussie and Tormenta, took turns knocking down Siren, who started off the match. It was not really one sided, but it seemed like Princess Aussie and Tormenta seemed a little bit more in sync than Siren and Chainsaw in this match with their frequent tags and with the amount of moves that they were hitting on each other. There was one impressive part where Tormenta and Princess Aussie had like an assisted code breaker, and I was just like, "Oh, that's amazing!" It was just really cool to watch that happen. And of course, you had Tormenta hit a lot of her drop kicks and high flying moves, but Chainsaw and her strength were definitely on display. But Tormenta was able to sort of maneuver out of that a bit. um, there was a bit of an isolation game with Princess Aussie as they sort of pushed her away from Tormenta and started choking her and spearing her into the corner. And there was one point where Siren the Voodoo Doll hit a cannonball onto her for a 2 count, but Ozzy was able to hit a DDT to Siren and tag Tormenta in. And Tormenta hit a flying dropkick and a clothesline and almost got the 1, 2, 3. But Chainsaw started to lose her focus here again and play with the daisy, but then she got caught by Angelica Dante, who started ripping the daisy apart, which made her angry. And then Siren raked the eyes of Tormenta and tagged Chainsaw in. Chainsaw um, hit Princess Aussie on the apron, but then Tormenta hit a roll up pin and got the win as Chainsaw was very distracted from her being distraught over losing the daisy that was given to her backstage. And yeah, Tormenta and Princess Aussie won this match, and they're proving to be a really solid tag team here. But it was just really sad to watch Angelica be so spiteful toward Chainsaw's Daisy. It was just like, come on, she can't have nice things. That sucks. And then for her to be this bossy and be the little sister, it's just kind of like, relax. But uh, Katrina, how did you feel about this tag team match and with the way that Siren and Chainsaw lost? Love
Love
you
you
too.
too. um, so I thought this was a good match. I am with you on. I wasn't sure. I guess when we first saw the team of Tormenta and Princess Aussie, like because you had two women who have fought each other, but also kind of had one goal in mind was this to be the champion, and then one of the two did do that at least. So when I kind of put them together, I was like, I don't know how I feel when you just throw people together sometimes. But with that being said, I do think they work very well together. I'm not sure what the trading aspect is, but I do think they complement each other well of what they can both do in the ring. I did think this was a good match, but with regard to Chainsaw, I'm not sure if it's like she's like, is there a reason she seems more distracted? Like, even though she was given something backstage and it seemed like a nice thing, but why are you this distracted? It's more so like, I'm thinking like when I have to tell my son to like chill for a second and he's doing like 20 things at the same time and then he's like, do this thing, and then 2 seconds later, I'm like, didn't I just tell you to do this, and you're doing something totally different, and it's kind of that vibe of like, well, why are you? What's going on that you're just distracted? And so I don't know if this is because I feel like at least from what we've seen from Chainsaw previously, it seemed like her goal was always to like do what needed to be done in an aggressive way, and that seems to not be there necessarily. Like she was still being pretty aggressive, but also her being just this distracted seems very off of what we have seen from Chainsaw since we have originally seen her. Like even when um when she did a Foxy Fierce, for instance, and like Fox, and even that level of just like intensity to kind of just like, you know, I'm a little wondering why she's a bit distracted more than normal, and I'm kind of with you as the little sister too because I am the bigger sister of mine siblings. I'm the oldest of six, And so, even though I am the tiny one, because I am the tiniest of my group, I am still the oldest. And so, I wish you first. I was like, I wish I would try to do thinking you're gonna tell me what I'm doing. As my and I'm being the oldest, so I definitely understand that sentiment because that's how I am. Like, let's try that again. Let's be better because not me. Like you're bigger than me, yes, but as far as me being the oldest and probably the craziest of the group, I'm very protective. Then yeah, you're not doing whatever. So I definitely understand that piece, but I do feel like this is just the beginning of Chainsaw will probably at some point leave them. I feel like that's where they're going with this. I'm just curious as to why is all of a sudden it's distraction because I feel like even when she had like that one thing on her mind before. It was just like let's destroy things, let's do what needs to be done. And now I don't know if it's like she wanted a friend, but it's like well you have and I'm not saying that Voodoo Siren the Voodoo doll is not your friend, but you have her and you have your sister, and so do you want a different type of friend? And it's like I'm not sure where they're going with in that regard, but I did enjoy the match.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match too, but maybe Chainsaw is looking for a different type of friend. Maybe she's tired of being, you know, the angry rah that we, know her to be. Maybe there is something that she needs because in a sense when you think about the relationship that she has with Siren and with Angelica, it seems like it's very, oh well, we're just going to boss you around and sort of tell you how to be a monster and how you need to knock all these people over and do all of this, and it's not more so of a relationship where they're sort of asking her how she's feeling inside. So maybe that's the issue. Maybe she's just looking for something a little bit more, softer. In terms of a relationship, if you could, if that makes any sense at all, because Chainsaw, for as long as we've seen her, has just been very, angry, mighty monster a lot of the time. But maybe there's something deeper that no one's really seeing, that maybe Siren and Angelica just aren't seeing. So maybe that's why she's sort of reaching out to Pep. Maybe something better will come from that. I don't know. But, you know, and maybe because she's looking for something, that's why she's distracted because she's looking for something else, inwardly, and it's manifesting itself outwardly in her matches. I don't know. And I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, and how it's going to move or work, but I am very interested in it. It looks really interesting and really I feel like it might be a really cute ending to that story. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, but Tormenta and Princess Aussie wound up getting the win, so big ups to them for that. Um, yeah, that was cool. So they gave a recap after that, towards the mystery of who attacked the beast last season, or towards the end of last season. And then of course they recapped it by telling us the two people who were responsible for it in terms of Vicky Lynn McCoy and the disciplinarian and what happened with them. Um, but in the midst of that, they used this to basically announce that, of course, Samantha Smart um, worked out a deal to where if the class master had defeated Santana Garrett, a former Wild World champion, she would have a chance at the Beast for the Wild World title. And that's taking place this weekend on this episode of Wild that's coming on this Saturday and Sunday. So if you watch it, please check it out, and watch that episode because it's huge. Because this will be the first time we are seeing the Beast in this new season, so it's going to be pretty cool. That is hopefully, and nothing crazy is happening. So, yeah, then backstage, we saw the Fab Four celebrating with Holly Swag with a little bit of the bubbly. And as they were getting ready to drink some champagne and all of the above, Penelope's was like, "Hey, can you guys just put that on ice because my match is coming up?" And they were like, "Yeah, we'll just say something and put it on ice so we can just, celebrate and just take it out there with us." So they took the liquor out there with them. And this led to the main event, which was Penelope Pink versus Santana Garrett, two former Wild World champions colliding. And when I say shenanigans aside, that this match ate, it ate. I could stop right there. I could stop right there and just say that the match ate because it did what it was supposed to do. Because these women wrestle down. Now I know I've had my feelings about Penelope Pink in the past, but I've never taken away the idea that Miss Ma'am is a full and total package when it comes to what she does in that ring and the personality that she offers. And when these women locked up two separate times and just tested each other out in terms of strength and flexibility and just all around graps, these women had it in spades. They had it in absolute spades. And it makes me mad that the Fab Four were out here trying to interfere on behalf of Penelope Pink because she really could be on her own and fight, and just fight in just a straight up and down regular wrestling match with Santana Garrett, and it would just be awesome. And that's what these women gave here. Santana has been in tag team action with Americana a lot. But the moments in which she does get in the ring and fight, like from a solo perspective, she definitely shows us why, she was in stuff like the Mae Young Classic, why she still wrestles in other promotions, even now like NWA and stuff like that. Like she was giving us everything. So much so to the point to where she lost a piece of her hair. But either way, when you're wrestling hard and when you're doing hard work, sometimes it's not pretty and you lose a piece of your hair. But you know what? You still ate and her hair still looked cute and she was still out here doing the dang thing. And that's all that matters. And I know that I'm sounding very passionate outside of the technical stuff that I usually talk about with these matches, but y'all just got to understand. If you have not watched this match, please go watch it because it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. Go back and watch it. This is what women's wrestling is made of. It was fantastic. So, outside of it being such a hard hitting and passionate match worthy of the main event of WoW, Holly Swag and the Carlson sisters proceeded to interfere on behalf of Penelope Pink multiple times, especially at the end when Holly Swag got on the apron and thought she was about to like knock over um Santana, but Santana wound up knocking her off the apron. And then when she tried to hit her supernatural moonsault, Holly Swag grabbed her arm and Penelope used that distraction to hit the pretty in pink for the win. So Penelope won the match. But outside of all of the crazy shenanigans, it was really good. It was so good. This is all of the stuff that women's wrestling is made out of. So go watch this match on YouTube if you have not already watched it. Um, Stop playing with your life. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the match? Because I clearly said how I felt about it. So, how did you feel about it, and just with all of the craziness going on with the Fab Four?
Oh no, I agree. It was a 100% definitely worthy of a main event type of match. Like I said, I know you have your beef with Penelope, but I have said that while I don't necessarily like some of the things she do, I do like her in regard that she definitely is somebody who knows what to do in the ring, and I think she showed that. And like she can't like as I said earlier, she did win the champion the time she won it. It was fair and square. And I know you every the whole time you were just like, oh, I like her. She talked too much stuff. She does all kind of stuff, but she did win it fair and square. She did it to the end. And that was when I was like, see, this is what I like. I know that you can do this. And so it's like, do you necessarily need to involve yourself with people who do these type of shenanigans? Which is part of why I do think sometimes she doesn't interfere as much. Like she has interfered before, but I feel like the other ones have done it a little bit more than she has. And it might be a reason for that. It might be like she feels like she don't even need you. It's like maybe that she thinks she's too good for that. She does have that attitude. And I feel like they all have it, but she really has that like, well, I am better than everybody else kind of vibe. And so it could very well be that. Santana is great as well. And I do think this was one of those like you're kind of vying for a certain outcome in this. And they delivered. Now, was I surprised about the outcome? Absolutely not, because Fab Four was out there. I expect that if they are out there, 95% of the time they're probably going to win it. It's very, 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 very rare where somebody's going to win on them when they're all out there doing the shenanigans that they do. But I do think, like, I do agree that I think the match was great, but they would have done more justice if they were not there. And it was also a bit weird that even before the match, she kind of had to tell them a match is coming up. Like, I didn't know her match was coming up. Like, to me, Why you acting like all brand new all of a sudden? Because like I knew she had to wrestle. She was the main event. You guys seemed okay first match, with another the newer member. And again, I know that that's playing into the with the old and with the new vibes that Lana might be on, where she seemed more focused on Holly's match rather than Penelope, who actually is definitely the whole package if you're thinking of a solo person. Because like the twins are good, but what I mean is they're also a package deal to an extent. Penelope's not, and so like you kind of have the whole package, and yet y'all she had to tell y'all, oh, well, my match is coming up. First, I'd be like, okay, well, you wouldn't even be out here. Like I personally feel away about that if this was me. And so like I don't know if this is the makings of we're gonna have her leave them soon. Could be wrong, but I feel like they're already kind of putting those seeds in there. It's already she seems about Holly, and then she had to tell them, well, my match is like why would you celebrate before her match? Celebrate after the match. You celebrate all the good stuff for your team as a group. Why would you as if she didn't have as if she wasn't important? And I did notice that, and so yes, we'll see. But it was a fantastic match.
Yeah, like just the idea that they were just celebrating first before, you know, like you would think you would make it like a holistic celebration and just wait till Penelope has her match, which sort of feeds into the notion that I was saying earlier. Is like they're basically acting like Holly's just a new shiny toy and that she's not as important. And I'm glad that you mentioned the idea of Penelope leaving the Fab Four. I kind of thought about it when I was rewatching the episode a second time. I was just like, bruh, what if Penelope really did leave them? How awkward would that be? Because like I just because she had just been attached to Lana Star since we were introduced to her. Like from the beginning of our journey with WoW, she's been attached to her for so long. So the idea of her leaving Lana and the Fab Four would just be so interesting for her to just be out on her own. But it's not like she can't do it because like I said, she has everything you could possibly need to be a success. She has it. So if she were to leave, that would be astounding and it's something that you would have to get used to seeing. But I low key feel like maybe that is where they're going with it. Like she might leave if it's not all about her at this point because at this point it's looking like it's becoming all about Holly. So I don't know. It's a lot to think about, but I am happy that this season is sort of showing us more layers to these women because just the way it's just challenging the way that we've seen these characters, and grown comfortable with them. Because we were comfortable with Holly being with her mama. Now she isn't. Um we were comfortable with Chainsaw being a monster and destroying everybody. Now she might be turning another leaf. We were comfortable with, Penelope being with the Fab Four, even though we might not have liked it all too much. But there's the possibility that she might not be. And there's just lots of changes happening that and other layers that we're seeing this season that we haven't really like seen much of before, and I'm really happy about that. Like that's what keeps it interesting. But in the midst of all of the conflict, there is still solid wrestling, at the core of it. And Penelope and Santana did a heck of a job. Princess Aussie and Tormenta did great. Valentina Diamante did great in her debut. This was just a really solid episode, and I just cannot wait for what this weekend has in store. The Beast is coming back to defend her title because it seems like she just has a long line of contenders between Classmaster, Jesse Jones, that is if she still wants to go for it because she hasn't really mentioned anything about it since. Um, you know, big like clicking up with Big Rig Betty. And then you have Penelope who feels like she should be, the rightful contender, like she was talking about on commentary in the episode. So it's just a lot going on. But WoW continues to keep us on our toes and keep us interested and keep us loving women's wrestling. So thank y'all. We've reached the end of our time together. So thank y'all so much for watching live. And of course, if you're going to watch this later, please watch it later on both of our YouTube channels. That's The Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. And continue to support WoW. If you aren't watching it yet, you can go on wowe.com. That's WOWE.com and type in your zip code so you can see what time it comes on for you on your regular cable television. But if you don't want to do that and watch it the digital streaming way, you can watch their 24-hour Wow channel that's available on Samsung Television and Pluto TV. You can also watch them on Hulu and just or watch them on their YouTube channel, which is Wow Superheroes, where they post all of their matches and their episodes the week after the episode airs. So please check that out there and just continue to support women's wrestling as a whole, because as it grows, we grow, and as we grow, society grows. And maybe one day we'll get to a point to where women will have equal rights to everything. But until then, we're going to keep fighting. So, Katrina, thank you so much for being my tag team partner and for joining me. And I'm so happy you're back. So, tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
Uh, you guys can find and follow me on NCAT. We trust the E is the three on every platform except for Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. As far as what I've got going on, I feel like this has been the worst year with things because I've been so behind because I'm doing like 20 things, and now that I have another graduate again, another senior, and so I did two the last time, and now I'm on this second half of the year. I'm now dealing with one that will be graduating next year, and so it's a lot. And so I feel like I'm all over the place, but you guys can find me if you're in the New York or New Jersey area. I do backstage correspondence, commentary occasionally, so you can come say hi. I do have some stuff coming up again. Totally slacked. I did quite a few events and things and post no footage, and I have quite a few footage. And speak like wrestling related, I did was like a couple of feet away from like The Rock, and he was like right there. And so I did cool things, and I just haven't posted anything. So I promise it's coming. I've just been so 20 things. So just keep a lookout on my channel for that, and for any content we do have a new interview that would be going live soon, not today, but before the new episode will air. Because me and Steph did interview Goldie Collins, so definitely check that out on our channels when it goes live. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome sauce. So please check that out when we do post it. It was such a great time. We're so happy to have had time to speak with Goldie Collins. She's one of our faves, and she's someone who is an active supporter of Steph and Cat Talk Wow. So it was an absolute honor to have her on the show. So check that out when it is posted on both our channels. So as for me, oh well, first of all, I want to say congratulations, Katrina, because I saw you get accepted to AEW Full Gear. That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. So I forgot that I did it, honestly, and then I thought I was like, oh, and then like, oh, it's my birthday, and so trying to like, oh crap, my birthday's not gonna go the way I wanted it to because now I'm gonna technically be working. But it was nice, I guess, to get the email because this is the first time I applied for AW with just other in Cat Trust. I've not done that since we left a certain place, and so it's like, oh, okay, yay! I think I got another year already under in Cat Trust, and that was cool. But so now I'm doing this. So hopefully that means more places I can do just under my brand, and it doesn't necessarily have to be attached to anything else. So this is no to anybody. It's just it's a very different level of happiness when it's something that's just yours. That's something that you worked really hard for, and it's your thing, and it's your baby. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So thank you. We'll see how it goes. I know I'm gonna be like super tired after all of that because I told that PPO was gonna be long as heck, and so I'm gonna be dead tired. But it'll be nice to at least see some other media people that will be there that I haven't seen since WrestleMania weekend. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course you have like a lot of cool women's action on that card too. You got Mercedes Monet, the GOAT, going up against Chris Statlander for the TBS title, and then you have Mariah May having a celebration with Mina Shirakawa. Ugh. I hope I pronounced that correctly. If not, then I'm so sorry. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. But yeah, it's gonna be cool, and I'm just so happy that you have this opportunity under your own brand because I know how that feels. It feels like you know winning a championship. It really does. On your own and of your own power. So I just wanted to just verbalize congratulations, even though I know I said it. I just wanted to verbalize it right here and there and just say it. But of course, you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and X/Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. You can listen to my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your podcast audio. That's iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and other places as well. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, with the Wrestling Ring with HWP in the middle. And hit the bell to be notified every time something new happens or anytime I'm going live. And just be on the lookout because I might wind up in a certain place next week. You never know. But either way, I might wind up in a certain place. But either way, just keep your tabs and keep following me. And I also have a Blue Sky account, which I'm getting a hold of. So you can follow me at Queen Steph Hardy there as well if you have Blue Sky. And just continue to support your girl as I seek to close out the year strong and read my articles as well because I'm trying to close the year strong with that too because there's just so much creativity that's just bubbling in my head and I just got to get this stuff out before Christmas gets here. So yeah, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wild, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. We will see you guys later, and until next time, bye y'all.